What up, world? Today we are picking up trash at the East River Esplanade. This is located on the East River in Harlem along the Bobby Wagner Walkway. A couple things about the park. As you can see, it has this wonderful view of the RFK Bridge, a little bit of the South Bronx that you can see peering through there. And this area right here, I guarantee you there's a giant catfish lurking down there. This park is located alongside a very busy on-ramp to that RFK bridge that I mentioned, as well as to other locations headed north for East Harlem. As you can see, the park itself, it's got this big, nice, spacious lawn. The grass is still yet to be green because I am filming this kind of at the end of winter, sometime around February. It's got nice trees. I'm not entirely sure if barbecuing is allowed here, but this would be an excellent place to come and have a barbecue if that is permitted. But nevertheless, we're going to get started picking up some trash here. You can see there's a construction area that is back there that has no access to the public. I'm going to give whoever is in charge of that area the benefit of the doubt that they are going to do their very best to maintain the trash that is out there and to do their very best to pick it up when they are done with this construction area. That clear plastic bag is a piece of bonus trash that I picked up along the way before I got started picking up trash inside this park, and that's just fine with me. We're gonna take that little bonus piece of trash and we're just gonna act like it's part of the plan. Get it put away and get it off to the proper waste management location that it deserves. I'm gonna go ahead and open up my own trash bag here, my own plastic bag. Get it all nice and aired out. Get ready, situated, grab my grabber. And yeah, kind of my plan here is to start along this fence line here and then to move to that wall that is separating the park from the roadway. We've got a couple pieces of trash stuck inside the fence here and being a little bit reluctant to move out. But nevertheless, we're going to get that out of the fence, into the bag, off to the place that it needs to go. Looks like we've got a plastic knife right there. Oh no, that was just a piece of paper. And then we've got a coffee, the lid to a coffee mug here. So the reason that I'm starting on this fence line is because wind tends to knock things up into the corners of parks. So if there's going to be a high abundance of trash, that's primarily where you're going to see it accumulate, is where the wind will sweep it up to. Now I'm just taking this stick right here, I'm going to use it as a handle to kind of help me keep my trash bag open. Put it in there, roll it around, and that's going to help just kind of keep it nice and wide open so that it's easier for me to put trash in. This is a little trick that I learned when I was doing this. So we're going to go back to picking up that fence. And yeah, you can see how well that works already. It inflates the bag with the wind very nicely. Picking up some small pieces of trash there. Head back to... I don't know how I feel about removing that caution tape, so I'm just going to leave it there. It's attached to that orange cone. And again, I believe that's going to be part of the construction site. We're going to do our very best to trust the construction workers to pick up their site when they are done. Besides, we've got plenty of other stuff to worry about here. Small pieces of plastic, pieces of paper that go through and end up on this end of the park here. Resuming our walk, coming through. We've got another, looks like a piece of paper there, and followed by its friend. Getting that in there. And another small piece of plastic. Moving right along this fence line. And guys, this is New Leaves Urban Reform. This is a program that I have started in attempts to kind of not only pick up trash in cities like New York City, but also to bring to people's attention that this sort of thing needs to happen. There is quite a bit of trash in local parks, in large cities, and something can definitely be done about it. And the only way that that's going to start off is if we start having conversations about why it's necessary. Moving along, we're picking up a few more of those small pieces of paper. Looks like we found ourselves a napkin right there. Get that one. These are things that are easily picked up by the wind, can easily get swept out into this area. A couple smaller, small pieces of plastic. Now, as you notice at the beginning, that maple-looking leaf that's the logo for the Parks Department for New York City, and it is my understanding that they are the ones who maintenance this park. But a good thing to keep in mind with the New York City's Parks Department is that what's this? A little blue nut right there. Could be a good weight for fishing. But anyways, like I was saying, a good thing to keep in mind about New York City's Parks Department is that when they come through these areas and they service them, more often than not, this would not be the only park that they service for that day. That crew is going to be assigned to multiple accounts, if you will, multiple parks within the area. And so they have a limited amount of time to be able to do their job. So what they are looking for primarily are large pieces of trash, things that they can go in and quickly pick up and then resume their normal maintenance schedule. Another thing to keep in mind is that this is, again, in the beginning of, well, not even the beginning of spring, it's at the end of winter, right? The beginning of February. So it is quite possible, since that, they don't need to come in and mow the grass or, pull weeds because there's no plants or grass growing, that they are not servicing this area as frequently as they might in the summer. Looks like we found ourselves a little liquor bottle there, followed up by a couple more small pieces of trash. And this looks like is a piece of the fence. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there on the fence. That is definitely made of metal. Looks like metal wiring. Looks like it could be made into links for the fence there. We're going to keep picking up these small little bits. Looks like a hand warmer right there. Got small pieces of paper, small pieces of plastic. Underneath this tree, it kind of seems like there is a plethora of smaller stuff. Sometimes that can happen if there's a piece of garbage that a mow crew, someone who's mowing the lawn, if they don't notice, let's say a piece of paper or a plastic bag, they're going to run it over and chop it up with that lawnmower, and of course create a bunch of small little pieces of trash, which can go unseen by someone who is not carefully, meticulously looking through for small pieces of trash like I am. So we'll get those into the bag here. That looks like a little stick for a sucker. Just eating their candy and dispose of their garbage when they were done. What do we have here? A little buried piece of styrofoam. Well, a buried piece of styrofoam is much better than a piece of styrofoam that is floating down the East River into the Atlantic Ocean. It is followed up by its friend, a buried piece of plastic bag. is this? Another piece of buried styrofoam. Another little piece of buried styrofoam. And what do you know? One more little piece of buried styrofoam. That's wonderful that we're able to get that entire thing removed. I'm sure that was all one piece at one point, and perhaps got trampled on, got stepped on, maybe ran over by a piece of equipment, broken up into smaller chunks, and then buried over time. Whether or not that be dirt that was blown by the wind, or who knows how else that could have accumulated there. We've got a couple of cigarette butts here too. A little wag of the finger to cigarette smokers. I need to be the guy who lectures smokers every single day, but we'll be the first to remind them that the garbage can or the cigarette butt receptacle is the best place for you to put those things, not onto the ground. Of course, with this park being located so close to the East River, it is crucial that we get those pieces of trash picked up. Those types of trash that float very easily, get picked up by rain shed, and could possibly go into an ecosystem like the East River or the Atlantic Ocean. We want to prevent that from happening. It is my understanding that there is plenty of plastic out in the Atlantic Ocean as it is, and we would all prefer that there would be no more added to it. We can prevent even just a little bit of that with our actions here today by picking up trash. That's going to be a benefit and a win in my book. Sometimes it's best to look underneath stratified layers of leaves. Try to find those. Looks like we got a drinking straw right here. Small piece of a plastic bag. A larger piece of a plastic bag. Yeah, we've got kind of quite a bit buried underneath this tree here. Along with this stubborn plastic bag here. These things can kind of be a pain to remove if they get buried underneath there too deeply. They start to break apart when you pull them out. And just becomes smaller, littler pieces of plastic. Another cigarette butt in the bag. It's always good to see. It's not good to see that they're on the ground, but it's nice to see them going into the bag because that means they're going into a garbage can. This looks like it was an entire cardboard box at one point. Several little pieces scattered around here. It could have very well been on its way to decomposing, but this is not an area where we are trying to compost. This right here is a brick, so we're going to go ahead and leave that there. We have got a lot more small pieces of trash, another cigarette butt, another cigarette butt. Plastic tie. A little fail on picking up this bottle cap. A little quick revenge. And that's blue. And like I said, this corner right here, this is going to be where wind can sweep stuff up. And just because of the way that it's shaped and located, it's kind of a hard place for wind to get into coming back the other way. So the chances of things getting swept out of there are very minimal. Pick up that straw, this yellow piece of plastic, another piece of garbage. And this right here, this was actually, in my opinion, a really nice bucket. I'm assuming, again, that this is from, what is this? This is something that I did not even know existed.
What?
This is Cinnamon Toast Crunch flavored popcorn. Which, if you know where to find that, if you know where to buy that, please let me know, because that sounds delicious. Again, this looks like a really nice bucket. There's no holes in it. Still completely usable. But I think it's part of the construction area, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it. If you would like it, again, this is located on the East River Esplanade on the Bobby Wagner. As far north as you can go on the Bobby Wagner walk, and I'm sure that it's probably most likely still there. This was filmed in the beginning of February 2024, so there's a good chance that it's still hanging around there. You can imagine it being good for a stool for you to sit on while you're fishing for that catfish that we mentioned earlier. It could all work out so nice, you know? It could be real smooth. You use that blue nut that I found earlier as a weight to keep yourself down at the bottom of the river. I guarantee you'd run into that big old catfish. Then what do you know? You have a big old bucket to carry it home into. It could act as a seat for you to sit on while you're fishing, and it could act as a storage vessel for when you're taking it home. Not that I would recommend eating anything out of the East River, but that's just me, I guess. To each their own. I'm saying you have possibilities here, alright? You have options. I'm just adjusting the bag there. Finding more and more trash buried under here, and thank goodness I was watching this video and I was looking at that piece of trash that's stuck there. And I was just hoping that would happen right there, that I was able to sneak through the fence and get it. Followed up by it's a little bit of a fail, and as it jumps back out of the bag, perhaps that piece of trash is not exactly ready to move on from this park. It is a nice park, but nevertheless, we don't want pieces of trash in the park. We want the park to be nice and clean and safe for other people to enjoy. I guess this is a good point in the video to bring that up. That is one of my primary goals here with this channel, with this video, with this program known as Urban Reform, right? New Leaves Urban Reform. We are trying to get parks and wilderness areas clean and safe for everyone to enjoy and to use well into the future. It's my personal belief that everyone deserves a nice area to go outside and to enjoy nature. I think connection with nature is fundamental to the human existence. I think it's something that can definitely make individuals much happier. I know it makes me much happier when I'm able to get out into the sunshine and to see the greenery and to see wildlife, to be able to interact with all these things, and to do it without things like bags buried in the ground. So yeah, we'll get those cleaned up, do our very best to get this corner litter free, so that perhaps someone can come through and enjoy it without the nuisance of this clutter. That looked like it was the top to a Pringles can. I might be mistaken. It could have been the top to a cup, to a drink, perhaps a soda. Getting some more small pieces of plastic picked up here. Just kind of trying to rummage through these leaves, making sure I'm getting all of them. Usually when you find one piece of trash, there's going to be more, right? That's kind of how it goes. Following the same cadence as weeds in a flower bed, right? There's never just one of them. And if you do find just one, well, that's a lucky day, in my opinion. We're checking in between these leaves, kind of looks like it might be Bardock or Curly Dock. Checking in between those to make sure that there's nothing trash. It looks like we kind of conquered that corner there. We have found the second liquor bottle of the video. It looked like it might have been a Jack Daniels with a square shape on there. Now, as always, I am in support of people's freedom of choice. If you want to go out and have a nice alcoholic drink for the evening, it is by all means, if you were over the age of 21, that is by all means your right to do. But I will also advocate that you must be responsible with the waste that you accumulate during such activities. You can go ahead and drink all you want, but you also have to make sure that those bottles end up in the right location at the end of the party. You gotta see it through. I always feel like I'm such a dad when I say those types of things. I'm just strange. I don't have any kids yet, but it makes me feel very fatherly when I tell people that they need to pick up their liquor. So we're just kind of cycling through the sections of the video here. That's what I do when I pull out my phone. I kind of try to film these in increments of like 5 to 10 minutes, just to make splicing the video as easy, to make editing it easier. And I think that the way that the GoPro is saving these videos, I think it makes it a little easier for it to process it onto the SIM card if I do it in smaller chunks. Anyone who's familiar with filming with GoPros and with 4K will be familiar, will understand that it takes a lot of processing power to render long chunks of 4K video. It takes a lot of power to do that. So I think 5 to 10 minutes, that's a reasonable increments for me to film in. Then again, this is a relatively new process for me. A little plastic spoon there. Like I was saying, this is a relatively new process for me. I'm still learning as I go, learning how to do all these video things on my own. If you have any tips or suggestions, please feel free to leave them down in the comment. I'm always willing to learn. I'm always wanting to learn. It's a big part of this. It's something that I enjoy about this process here, is the learning aspect of it. Nevertheless, we're going to continue on here, picking up small pieces of trash there. And the third liquor bottle there, they all seem to be those single shooters. Hopefully none of those are being thrown over the wall there from the roadway. I spoke earlier about being an advocate for freedom of choice, but that is something that I don't agree with. Drinking and driving is illegal, and it's illegal for a reason, and that should not be the way that people are enjoying it. If they are taking the liquor bottles out to the park, they're just walking around, the Bobby Wagner walkway here, enjoying the river and enjoying, a spirit or two along the way, that's totally fine. I'm game for that. That's something I can, so long as they are willing to, again, take those bottles and give them to the proper trash receptacle. Recycling receptacle would be even more ideal. And then this is the fourth one right here. That's a little bottle of Patron. I recognize that bottle anywhere. Right? Very telltale. Buried underneath these leaves looks like a small piece of plastic, probably cornered to a plastic bag. And that is something that can very easily happen, right? Is you're eating a bag of chips and you opened it by cracking, or a candy bar, and you opened it by just cracking the corner, right? then, that little small piece that comes from the corner, that's very easy to lose track of. And as soon as it gets cold, as soon as the wind gets a hold of it, then it's going to fly off to God knows where. More than likely end up along a wall like this. Got a box of jelly beans. Well, candy and liquor have been kind of a couple of mainstays for this park so far. People with a sweet tooth, people with a little bit of a parched throat, let's say. Going through these leaves here. I really wonder, I'm going to have to come back here in the summer and kind of see what this park transforms into during the spring and summer months, kind of early fall, right before the leaves start to fall. It would be brilliant to see all these leaves raked up and taken out, and to see this lawn, nice and lush and green. It would actually be really cool, in my opinion, to see some flower beds here and to see some wildflowers, some native wildflowers be put in here, so that pollinators, when they're coming through New York City, have a little spot to stop and sort of rest up, get something to eat. I don't think there's any freshwater sources besides the East River, which generally insects and small birds, they will not drink from large bodies of water like the East River or the Hudson River. They generally like to stick to smaller streams, puddles, or little ponds if they can get a hold of that. But I think it would be really nice to see something like that here, and perhaps that's something that I could write up to New York City's Parks Department and suggest that they do. There's quite a bit of space here for that to happen. I understand that it would take money and a little bit of an earthquake there. I think that's just part of the rendering of the GoPro video. You're going to see that occur here for like the next 2 minutes or so. It only lasts for so long, and then it starts to correct itself. But you do see it, and it is not an earthquake. There was no earthquake in New York City, at least none that would be visibly shaken like that in the beginning of February. I promise you. It's just yeah. See, like right there. So, oh, what's going on? Oh my God. No, that's all part of the camera. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there with the filming of it. But, yeah, we'll power through it nonetheless. Of course, when I'm filming this, I don't even notice that, so a little bit of a fail right there. As we try to get that piece of paper, it looked like it could have been a receipt, into the bag. It's kind of trippy, honestly, when you look at it. It happens. Like a second take, or a misglance, if you will. And getting some more of these small pieces of plastic. Having a little bit more camera vision. Freaking out, man. That's what it kind of reminds me of. We hit that small bottle of Patron too hard, and now I can't see straight, man. This is what it kind of makes me think here. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And again, I think this could be accredited to this chunk of footage being taken way too long. I think this one was like a 14-minute segment, and that might just be way too much for my little GoPro and little SIM card to manage. We've got a kind of a big old pile of trash here. It looks like someone had an entire meal from McDonald's and then more than likely just whipped it out the side of their car to the park here. Or they could have brought it in. They didn't even use their sauce packet. It's a complete waste of McDonald's sauce. McDonald's dipping sauce. It's a shame. If you're gonna have snacks, you might as well enjoy them, right? Oh well. Kind of wonder what would be underneath that piece of sheet metal, but I'm not gonna check. If it's bugs, I don't want to disturb them. I'll just let them do their buggy thing and live a nice, peaceful, normal day. Having another camera shakedown, camera breakdown there. Got a White Claw. That's alcoholic drink number 5. You know, if you were to drink all these things at one time, you'd have a hard time finding the bridge. The walkway back out of this park. You'd be seeing like how my video camera's acting right now. Kind of poking through these leaves, rustling through these leaves, picking up these small bits of plastic. Pieces of paper. A little bit of a fail there. A little redemption comes after a failure, right? Because we don't give up until every single piece of trash is picked up and left this park. All the way down this concrete wall here. It's going to be a focus point. Even if our camera cannot focus itself. It's alright, we ourselves will remain on target, focused upon the task at hand, which of course is getting all the litter removed from this park. Garbage. Each and every single one of them ending up in my garbage bag. I'm taking that out of the park and into a proper waste management area, waste management program, site where it can be processed. I think it would be kind of a cool idea to interview someone or to shake hands with someone who's in charge with the New York City waste management programs. I don't have a lot of information on how recycling gets processed here in the city. I don't really have all that information on how garbage itself gets processed here in the city, and I think that would be interesting to learn. If you guys want to see something like that, let me know. Put it down in the comments. If you have any other suggestions for talks or interviews like that, let me know what you're thinking. Let me know if anything in kind of like the environmental trash or litter-free areas, any types of those conversations interest you. I'll do my very best to try to make those happen. Of course, I have a list of things on my agenda which I want to learn about, which I want to dive into. Slowly but surely figuring out ways to accomplish each one of those goals. We're gonna reach underneath this tree. It's got low-hanging branches. And this tree, unfortunately, is located very close to that roadway. So its branches are kind of precariously close to where people are driving their cars. And the speed limit on this roadway is pretty high. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's at least 35 or 40 miles per hour. Of course, if you were to get whipped by a branch going at that speed, you would at least notice it, right? So we're going to try to do our very best to duck underneath these low-hanging branches, get all the trash that we can, without being affected too much by GoPros or earthquakes. Oh, a little bit of a fail there. Glass gets back into the bag. Reach underneath and grab that piece of tissue paper by its little fret layer. What is this? We got a little bit more of that buried underneath the leaves. Reach back in for seconds. Come on now. Get caught up in those sticks right there. Time for these pieces of garbage to move on, to get out of the park. Right, that's the goal. You can see my plastic bag is kind of taking a beating. Now it's getting ripped up. It's just bound to happen. The more that we put in there, the more potential we have to get that sort of shenanigans to occur. Plastic bag buried underneath a lot of stuff. There's actually a sand bag buried in there, pretty deep. These aren't always exactly the easiest to remove. But we can do our very best. If it's not 100%, at least we did our very best, right? Got a bottle cap right there, straight into the bag. Yeah. Good. There we go. We're gonna end that chunk of film. Going back. I'm pretty sure, yeah, we're going to give the thumbs up there. So we're aware that we were kind of running that topic. And yeah, like I was saying, this bag is getting really beat up here. So I'm going to take a second to try to tie off those holes that got ripped into there. It's a little secret, if you didn't know. It's a trick that you can do. If you have a hole in the side of the bag, you can kind of just bunch it up and then tie it off, kind of make it hold in place. Should serve for now. But I think what I end up doing here is just getting the second bag, because yeah, what's going on is that there's not just holes on the side of the bag, there's holes on the bottom of the bag. And that means that while we're picking up more and more trash, we have the potential to be dropping trash as we move along the park. And that would be kind of pointless, right? So I'm just gonna rip off a second bag here. I mean, the less plastic that I can use while doing these types of activities, these types of cleanups, the better, in my opinion. But again, the goal is to take trash out, not to pick it up and then leave it through the bottom, the holes in the bottom of my trash bag here. You really do want to pick it all up and get it out of the park. That's the number one goal. So, we'll just kind of get that situated here. Get that going again. And then we're back off to picking up more trash. Right back at it to small pieces of plastic. A little piece of paper. That's kind of it for the concrete wall there. I'm gonna take a second to move out into the middle of the park and just check this lawn area. Check this little walkway that they have. Just by the way, that little brick off walkway, I think that's really charming. It'd be a nice place to walk your dog, to take a stroll. You know, you could take a bike through this area. It'd be really fun too. And fortunately, there's not too much trash on the lawn itself. It's far and few between, which is what I like to see. That means that when people come in and they see, you know, the general areas of this park, they aren't leaving trash there, and if they do see it, perhaps they're picking it up. This is also a really good time to tell you guys about New Leaves and where you can find us. We are on almost every single form of social media that is out there. You can find us on Facebook, you can find us on Twitter, you can find us on TikTok, we are on YouTube, and all of those things are going to be under New Leaves Urban Reform. You can also visit our website, which is newleavesurbanreform.org. Right there, that is actually kind of the central hub for our program. If you go to that website, it has links to all of our other stuff. We are in the process of curating a bunch of cool podcasts. Like I said, I want to host interviews with like-minded individuals here in New York City for starters. And that you'll be able to find that on SoundCloud once that gets going. I'm sure that we can do SoundCloud and Spotify, so keep an eye out for that upcoming thing. But yeah, again, all the social medias will be under New Leaves Urban Reform. And if you would like to support us, GoFundMe. All of those proceeds go to funding projects like this. Projects where we go out to parks, wilderness areas in your local neighborhood. We clean up as much trash as we possibly get. The goal of not leaving not a single piece of trash left behind. It's kind of our motto. That's what we like to say. So those right there, those were actually leaves to plants. Those were not pieces of trash, which sometimes it can be kind of hard to distinguish between the two of them. As you try to pull it up and it's connected to other leaves, it becomes pretty obvious. And if I'm not mistaken, that was a Virginia plant. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it would be great to see someone come and edge this little walkway, kind of clean up that matted down straw buildup. I bet this park has a real charm to it in the summer when it's fully maintained. We got just a couple of small pieces on the edge of this walkway here that we're going to pick up. You can see that piece of blue, yep, right there. Saw that poking out. Always satisfying when you can target something and then I know that I pick it up. Yeah. Moving through the lawn, again, there's not too much on the lawn, far and few between, which is always a relief to see. We do have, it looks like, another plastic spoon there. Yellow piece of plastic. There's all sorts of different things and different reasons that these small pieces of plastic get generated. It's a shame that they get left out in the park like that. Kind of back at the corner where I started, so we've made a full lap, a full circle here. Done our due diligence to get this part of the park cleaned up. Got some red pieces of plastic here, stuck in between those sticks. Small pieces of plastic moving into the bag. A little bit of a fail on the pickup there, another fail, and success. Oh, thank goodness. Get that picked up and put in there. It kind of looks like someone drove through this earlier. It might have been that construction crew. Or it could have been the landscape crew as they were moving through, as they were working in this area, perhaps on a rainy day. God. That can happen sometimes when it's muddy out. You got larger pieces of equipment that you need to move through. Nothing that a little bit of grass seed and tampering can't fix, though, which is a benefit. Yeah, that looked like it was a piece of plastic. Another piece of plastic in the bag. I'm gonna go ahead and cycle the video clip here. Get ourselves into a new block, a new chunk of footage. Small pieces of paper meeting their maker. Yeah, we're kind of just looking around this lawn here, see if we didn't miss anything on the way through. Looks like I might have found something here, which is a washer with a hook on it. So remember what I was saying earlier about that big old catfish that was down there? Well, what do you know? You got pretty much everything you need except for the fishing pole and the bait. It looks like that was pretty strong fishing line. Probably at least 30 pound test, I would imagine. 15 to 30 pound test. More than likely able to handle that catfish. I wonder how it got onto the lawn here. Maybe someone cut it and didn't realize it fell out of their tackle box. I don't know. You can only speculate, right? Without having seen it firsthand. I'll actually hang on to that. I don't really get paid officially for this. I kind of just get paid in compliments and cool things I find when I'm picking up trash in the park. And that's a cool thing. I'll take a fishing hook. I'm a fisherman. I like to fish recreationally, catch and release for the most part. If it's a species that I really like and it's within a a good environment where I know fish are capable of repopulating themselves or perhaps even overpopulated. If there's an invasive species that's super tasty, I'll take that home. I'll cook it up ethically, of course. What is this, a little bow tie? Well, that looks like it could be just cute as the dickens. Oh, and the rubber band breaks right off. Okay, so the rubber band goes in the garbage, but the bow goes in my pocket. It's a little treasure. One man's trash is another man's treasure. That could be fun for a little arts and crafts project down the road. You know, maybe there's a teddy bear somewhere in my future that deserves a nice little bow tie, or maybe if I get a kitten one day and I want to do a fancy photo shoot, we could use that. There's all sorts of things that I could use that bow tie for. It could be lots of fun. And I would assume, by the way that rubber band broke off, that bow tie has been there for quite some time. It also looks like the color might have faded off of it, but that just gives it a unique rustic look, in my opinion. That doesn't diminish from the quality that is that bow tie there. We're picking up some more pieces of trash here along the lawn. Again, they're all kind of small chunks, and they're all spaced out pretty far and few between. Now, whether or not that's due to the wind scattering and like that, or perhaps, like I said, lawnmowers, if they hit something, they can kind of confetti it. They make it into a small piece into even smaller pieces. That could be the result. Looks like we have another tire wheel well right there. Or maybe that's just caused by natural erosion as the water meets up against the walkway there. I'm not sure. It's another good opportunity to lay down some grass seed and to do some tampering. Or perhaps it'd be better to do tampering first and then lay down grass seed. I know from my experience of working in parks in New York City, as soon as you lay down those seeds of any kind, the pigeons seem to know that it's their cue to come and eat all of it right up. Which kind of makes it this back and forth battle of you trying to plant the seeds and the birds trying to eat the seeds, and ultimately, hopefully, the grass is still able to come through. There's another wheel rail. Kind of seems, that one looks like it might be from a gator or a golf cart. Which, if this area is anything like the other parks that I've worked in before, that's going to be the main mode of transportation for the staff that maintains this. And again, those types of things can happen on a rainy day. If the ground is still a little soggy, it can be sensitive to any sort of pressure that you put on top of it, especially when it's located right next to a walkway like that. That's kind of a larger piece of plastic that might have been put there recently, although it looked pretty dirty. It looked like it had been there for some time, buried underneath stuff. A little bit of a fail as that jumps back out of the bag. That's alright. Moving down and around so we get some nice gusts of wind dribbling my bag there. Really doing my best to inspect this entire lawn. If they permit active sports here, this would be a great place to play, a little pickup game of football, or perhaps frisbee, catch. There's all sorts of different things that this park could be utilized for. Now, of course, you would have to be very, very careful that you don't throw whatever it is that you were throwing, whether it be a sports ball or a frisbee, that none of that ends up in into the river, because obviously you'll never get it back, or up onto the roadway, because that would be even worse, right? The chances of you getting it back from that amount of chaos, of vehicular chaos, is slim to none, but also the chances of you causing even more vehicular chaos by introducing a foreign object, a flying foreign object, into the midst of that is, the chances of it going haywire is pretty high, I would imagine. And yeah, would be kind of preferable. So if you are going to play active sports here, make sure to keep it in bounds. That's my suggestion. But it is a really nice park. The day that I was filming here, even though it was at the end of winter, things were still cold, things were still windy, the sun was out, right? And that made all the difference. Getting that vitamin D, those solar rays into my body, into my heart, and into my mind, that really did brighten my day. No pun intended. Got some more stuff buried underneath the accumulated grass debris here. And a stratified in with the lawn itself. That does not mean that we can't get it out and into our trash bag there. Just absolutely picking through this little area here, doing a fantastic job. It looks like a large chunk of this is going to be litter free, which is amazing. Got a couple of pieces here, a few pieces right there, but again, that was a good 10-yard chunk, 10-yard square chunk that didn't have any trash in it. And for New York, that's really good, in my opinion. There's a larger piece of trash. Satisfying to see that get removed. To the corner of this lawn here. You can see we got more wheel ruts. I really do hope they are able to tamper that in. And, you know, there's a slim chance, but there's maybe a chance that someone from Parks Department watches this video. If you guys want help, try to make a volunteer project. I would personally love to spend some of my time beautifying this area. Back to being green and pristine, let's call it. That's what we'd like to see. A little bit more trash up against this concrete wall here. Yeah. We'll get all that garbage put where it needs to be, where it belongs, right? Cleaned up. Yeah. Get the base of this tree litter free. It is just a small tree. For it to have the best odds of success, I think that it would benefit from having a litter-free environment to grow in. That's what we'll give it right here. So we can is got a large piece of cardboard. That's what it looks like. Get all of that into the bag. To where it belongs, where it needs to go. Which is certainly not this park. Get all the trash off of this wall here. That's gonna kind of wrap up a large chunk of this park. Kind of able to start getting towards the end of our adventure here at the Riverside Esplanade. If you ever go to this park, feel free to do the same thing. Make sure, I would suggest that if you're going to be picking up trash, you wear gloves. You use a trash grabber like I am. And you try to do your best to make sure that it's clean and safe for you, just as much as you want to make a safe and clean environment for the people who frequent this park, or even just visit it one time. I might try to come back here. Oh. Piece of plastic stuck to the branch there. And I don't know what this is. I don't know if that's a piece to a wrench or if that's a piece to a motor. If you know what that is, let me know down in the comments. That's kind of the last thing that I'm able to find, pick up, because that's where my GoPro battery died. This is the entrance to the park itself. It has this little walkway. As you can see, we actually accumulated quite a bit of trash. I would consider that a really nice haul. So job well done. And this is where I ended up putting the trash at the end of the day. Alright guys, thank you so very much for watching.